Hello and welcome to Blank First Page. My name is Lucas. In this video I've got a stationery haul from the Netherlands to share with you. This is a haul by proxy because I didn't go to Amsterdam. My wife was recently there and this is the gift pack that she brought back for me. One of the best things about being as intensely into stationery as I am is that that's kind of the one thing people know about you because you talk about it so much and you have a YouTube channel about it. So it's what they latch on to, and stationery is an easy gift to give. You often end up with things that you wouldn't necessarily buy for yourself. This is nice because I get to try different things. So let's get into it. We're all about textures at Blank First Page, so I love it when I get just a plain paper bag to take things out of. There's something so enjoyable about taking something out of a craft paper bag. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely fun. So let's unbox or unbag this first layer of the onion. So this is just a nice memento from Amsterdam. It is a Moleskine pocket notebook with the nice line drawings of the Dutch townhouses. This will be good for like an everyday carry for work or a specific project like taking notes on these videos, video ideas, or even taking notes on bread and pizza and croissants and things that I like making and experimenting with. It's got typical Moleskine covers, the stitching, you get the nice pocket. It's lined. The lines actually look either they're gray or they have a bit of blue in them, but they're a nice color, nice and plain, but I like basic things. All right, so next we will dive into this pack, which is all from Like Stationery. It's a stationery store in Amsterdam. I'm super keen to go there myself. My wife did call me while she was in there, so I got a bit of a say in what I got, but I also got a couple of surprises that I didn't know she was getting me. So that's cool. Cool store. Check them out online, likestationery.com. This is a nice touch. Super nice to have a handwritten receipt. You really don't get that anymore. Again, this idea of doing things with a bit more intention, a bit slower, really appeals to me, and writing a handwritten receipt definitely ticks all those boxes. Yeah, just a nice, I love this sort of thing. So we will open up this next packaging. Nice quality paper bag. Crinkle, crinkle. So the only things I actually knew I was getting were these two, the writing paper and this fine liner pen. But I also got this, which is a very nice surprise, and I'll explain why it's doubly nice in a second. And I also got another one of these fine liner pens, olive green, and of course, black. These are Le Pen made in Japan fine liners, really fine. You can barely even see the point on it. I had never actually heard of these pens. I assume the company that makes them is actually called Marvi Uchida, which is the brand at the back here, but the model must be Le Pen's. We'll see what those are like. I always like Japanese made stationery. It's always such high quality and such nice design. So I've got those. Come to this in a second. This is the paper I chose. The brand is Original Crown Mill and it is made in Belgium. My father lived in Belgium for a number of years and I'd often go there, and Belgium has a surprising number of really good quality stationery stores. I have a few notebooks which I will do videos about that I got from there. But there's some really nice stationery stores. If you are in Belgium, they're well worth seeking out. This is actually writing paper for writing letters specifically. I remember my mom having similar notepads to these in her, like in the bureau that she had at home. The paper she had must have been from like the 70s and 80s, probably, when you still wrote a lot of letters. And they all come with this first page, which you actually rip out, and it's lined because you slide that under the paper you're going to write on, and you can see the lines through the paper, which allows you to write neatly on the paper itself. But then once you're done with the letter, you have a nice clean sheet which looks much nicer, much more elegant with the finished letter on it. I haven't written a letter in a very long time. I can't remember the last time I did, but I've wanted a notepad like this for a while. Just nice to have a notepad you can tear sheets out of, unlike most of my notebooks, which are fully bound notebooks. This will also be good for having a standard paper to do like different pen tests on as well. So we'll try that out in a second. Finally, this was the main surprise. This is a Caran Dash, which is a Swiss brand of pens. There's actually a double surprise, which I had even forgotten about, even though I've already opened this. This is a tiny, tiny pencil. I have another similar one somewhere around here, but because they are so tiny, I often lose track of it. It's got sparkles all over it, and the letters are in gold, so it's difficult to make out, but it says Camel Japan Mini. I'm nervous about using these types of pencils because I don't have a sharpener that is suited for this, and I'm not very good with like the blade method of sharpening, so we may not use this. The main event, this is a Caran Dash 849 limited edition. So it says with Goliath refill, the universal reference. Never heard of the Goliath refill, but okay. Stainless steel tip, tungsten carbide ball for a clean line without blots during 8,000 meters, which I assume means you can write for 8,000 meters or 8 kilometers with this one refill, and you won't get any ink blots, which is pretty cool. The case it comes in, it's got this black form-fitted recess that takes the pen, and it closes magnetically, which is very satisfying. And the outside on both sides is molded to look like the pen. So very cool. I love this color. It's like this matte army green. Similar actually to this one. My wife didn't know this, but I actually have a vintage version of this pen. This is from my grandfather. I don't know exactly how old this is, and I haven't done all the research on it, but I'll do a separate video to talk a bit about this. But it's so cool that I got a brand new version of it, and I have an old vintage version. It's so cool to see how the design is still in principle there, but definitely made modern. So get in a bit closer to this pen, look at some of the details. It's this nice kind of army green matte. It's got Swiss made at the top here. I like the box around it. It's a nice detail. It's got the secret brand name etched under the clip. Caran Dash, very subtle. Limited edition on the back, and you can barely see, but at the top of the clicker there's Caran Dash etched in as well. Very nice texture because it's matte, so there's a bit of grip to it, a bit of texture. Almost looks like a brushed brass, but the way it's been finished, it's more green and kind of matches the pen. These pens are very simple because it's just the main body, the clip, which I think is removable, but I don't want to force it so I don't scratch anything. The back just unscrews, and out comes the refill, and then a bit fiddly to get the back on, but screws back in. Nice and simple pen. Okay, so we will test out this paper with the pens that I got, but also I've got a selection of other pens to see how the paper reacts to the different kinds of pens. And we'll see what these new pens that I haven't used before are like to use. So let's start with the Caran Dash 849 ballpoint. That was literally the first stroke I made with that pen, and it took about 1 centimeter to get going, and it's ready. I've got the lined paper underneath to help me make this a bit neater. Quite nice. I'm not normally a fan of blue ink at all, but this has more of a green tinge, although my eyes may be deceiving me because there's all this green around it with these pens. But it is not hurting my eyes, let's say. The click on this pen is buttery smooth too. So starting off with the pen, this Caran the 849 wrote really nicely, took that first centimeter or so to get started, to literally get the ball rolling, but after that it wrote without problems. The Goliath refill, as they call it, I think will be good. I will try and get a black refill because I prefer writing with black ink, although this blue didn't bother me that much. These felt tip pens, very fine, to the point where I was almost scared to push too hard, but they didn't need that much pressure to write nicely, and they did write quite nicely on the paper. Pencils performed well on this paper. The paper has a bit of texture, so I always feel like it pulls the graphite away from the pencil better when there's a bit of texture to the paper, and it feels like you are actually able to positively make a mark with pencil on textured paper. Ballpoints all pretty good, nothing really to highlight. And the fountain pens performed really well. Paper is not glossy at all, so you get that feedback on the fountain pen. The ink didn't feather into the paper other than a bit with the Mont Blanc, although if anything's going to make any paper feather, it's going to be that Mont Blanc nib, which is the broadest nib that I have. But even so, there isn't a whole lot of feathering, so I'm quite happy with that. Now that we're finished with the letter, you can always take the backing out, and then you have a nice, neat looking set of sentences on a blank paper, and it looks like you're able to write in an orderly fashion much better than you truly can, and all because of this simple piece of technology. We had some bleed through, but really the main one to avoid would be this permanent marker, because for the rest of it you could very easily write on both sides. Although I feel like with this kind of paper you typically write on just the one side. So, thanks to my wife for bringing me all these nice things to write with and write on. Thanks to you for watching, and if you're enjoying the channel, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.